Did Gege cheat Gojo by changing how Mahoraga's adaptation works in their fight? Let's talk about it. First of all, shout out to Cash Machine who inspired this video, and he asked, during Shibuya, when Sukuna fought Mahoraga, we saw that it took thousands of slashes for Mahoraga to adapt to cleave and dismantle. Yet during Shinjuku, it adapted to blue after only one hit, and Gojo's other techniques relatively quickly compared to Shibuya. Is this just another Gojo nerf, or was there a reason? Okay, so no, I would not say that Gojo was nerfed against Mahoraga, and honestly, if anything, I would make the argument that Mahoraga's adaptation was more impressive when he fought Sukuna, but let's break down exactly how this works. I'm gonna throw up some relevant panels behind me here, but essentially how Mahoraga's adaptation works is once he sees something, once he experiences something, he starts adapting to it, right? And the more he sees something in that process can speed up his adaptation, but just one exposure is all it takes for the process to start. Also, Mahoraga's adaptations are gradual rather than binary, meaning he doesn't just snap his fingers and become immune to something, he gradually gets stronger and stronger against it, something that Gojo brings up in this panel when he hits him with the second red. He's not immune to the red yet, but the red did less damage to him. Another important thing to consider here is that in the Gojo fight, Sukuna had to choose when he was using Mahoraga versus when he was using, the shrine technique, which is something Gojo talks about up at the top there, saying that after Mahoraga had adapted to infinity, Sukuna was able to use more resources on other Shikigami because he got the important thing out of the way. So it may have seemed like Mahoraga adapted to blue after only one exposure, but that's not how it went down. And in fact, Mahoraga was specifically focused on infinity for the majority of the beginning of the fight. And then after infinity was adapted to, blue was adapted to. But that was kind of all one gradual thing because both infinity and blue are part of like the normal use of the limitless technique, with infinity being the neutral lapse and blue being the regular lapse. Now in Sukuna's case, it wasn't thousands of slashes for Mahoraga to adapt, it was actually only a few, and it's because this fight in the manga is only like a chapter and a half long. So Sukuna uses his first dismantle on Mahoraga and he starts to adapt. In fact, it's the very next slash that Sukuna sends out that he can see and deflects. Sukuna then hits him with a third slash, but it's only the second one that actually connects, and then he opens his domain expansion, where you could argue the thousands upon thousands of slashes come into play. But Mahoraga had already started adapting to them, which if he hadn't, this would have killed him, but it didn't because he was already adapting just from getting hit by 2 slashes. So no, I don't think Gege cheated Gojo or was inconsistent in how he depicted Mahoraga's adaptation. But Cash asked me another question about how Sukuna used the world cutting slash after the hollow purple if he was on curse technique burnout, and he wasn't on burnout. You reference this panel here, but it doesn't mention anything about that. He was just in a rough spot, but not on burnout.